Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Build Your Best Life. I'm Coach Deborah, and I have a special guest tonight, Ricardo Miller Jr. How are you, RJ? You're mute.
Here we go. I'm doing great, and absolute joy and absolute blessing to be on this evening. I hope everybody's doing great and staying warm. This Texas weather down here can definitely be unpredictable at times.
Yeah, I know how it is. We have weather that's not usual for us, so it's been cold.
Yeah. Staying bundled up out here, man. Got the jacket inside.
Yes. Well, we are so excited to have you here with us today as we explore different topics, making sure that you're doing the things in life that will assist you in building your best life. And we have a great topic for you today. Exploring personal values, finding your passion, navigating cultural expectations, and embracing your unique identity. How many really do that? Are we trying to fit into a mold and be someone else? You're going to find out a little bit more about that. But I want to thank you also very much for always tuning in, for praying for us, sharing, commenting, and liking our content. Please make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube page. That's Build Your Best Life with Deborah D. Smith. But we're going to get started, but we want RJ to tell us all about himself and kind of what he's been doing since we last saw him here.
Yep. Thank you for the opportunity. Things have been going pretty well, going pretty great in my time. As of late, recently, I have moved into a different place of residence, moved out of my on-campus fraternity house, now moving into a smaller home with some of my still fraternity brothers. We're enjoying this slowing down and change of pace in life. We're talking about before we came onto the show that I felt like previously before what I was talking about was the growing experiences that are coming with, being a young man in college, figuring out how to, manage your time with your work, with your school, with your personal identity and all the other different things you want to get accomplished. But now I'm dealing with and understanding and struggling with, and sometimes idea of not home ownership, but home maintenance, I guess, I'll call it. All of us moving into a small house together has definitely shown us and humbled us somewhat some of the things that we learned as for kids, I learned that the importance of taking out the trash on time and was it in the morning is very, very important whenever you only get it like once or twice a week. So, especially if you're paying for it, which we do indeed pay for it. So those have been pretty great things going on for me in life. And whenever it comes to ambitions and things of that nature, school's been going pretty well. Soon to be starting my master's program, hopefully coming up in the spring of next year. So things are looking pretty good for that. And the military is doing pretty good as well. So life's been going pretty good.
Awesome. You got a lot of stuff going on, but it sounds like you have it in control.
I try.
Yeah. Well, great. So thank everyone for tuning in. Agnes, Peggy, Deacon Holmes, Karen. Hi, Karen. We're going to get started here with our topic that we have tonight. And it is, who are you? Who are you? I believe that you should know who you are before you can really get into designing that blueprint for success. It is essential to know a couple of things. What are your attributes? Not your buddy's attributes, not your boy's attributes, but your attributes. Do you know them? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Your opportunities, your threats? What are those things? In simple terms, what do you know what you are working with? Are you trying to follow someone else, imitate someone else? Are you taking the tools and supplies that you have in your toolkit to do and be you? It's a good question. So RJ, I'm going to start out with asking you, what are you working with as it relates to your attributes, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats?
Well, I think that's a great question to start us off with. And whenever it comes into dealing with my attributes, I like to there's this concept or this term that I found upon recently that I found out it's been really helpful for a lot of young adults going through college, but I feel it can be really helpful for those who might find it a bit difficult to compartmentalize and kind of and figure out what the different attributes and what the different key points are for their lives. But I call it like gamifying your life, right? And so when it comes into my attributes, what I kind of single those down to the things that I frequent, right? The things that I do on a daily basis or on a frequent basis, whether I be good at them or bad at them, or just was it something I like to do. It's just things that I see will be frequent things that pop up, and things that you would see was that you would build up some kind of experience in. And so with those being my attributes, they're things that I find something to be of value, or something to at least give my own time and investment into. And so whenever it comes into going into strengths, it goes into that same subcategory of attributes or things that I like to daily or things that I like to frequent, but more specifically, things that I'm good at in that, right? So that comes into public speaking, that comes into videography, it comes into hanging out and kicking with my friends, being a good personable person. With a new job that I started, being a server over at Buffalo Wild Wings, it's being personable and being having good customer service and meeting people where they are, and then going on to the next point for whenever it comes into what you're looking for in your weaknesses. It's the things and the attributes or the things that you frequent or daily that you aren't as strong on, or things that me personally, how I like to kind of phrase it, is stuff that I'm working on, right? So for me personally, I have a lot of stuff on my plate, and something that I'm always trying to improve on is my time management. And whenever you have that much on your plate, that you're really passionate and really excited about, it's difficult to keep that energy well maintained everywhere. So time management and keeping up my personal pace and keeping up my own personal emotional health for that is something I'm always working to key on and working to build upon. Or even other things like physical health or cardio, right? I like to stay in the gym. I like to hoop and everything like that. But those are things that I like to do for fun. Those are things that I find enjoyable, and those are a strength for me. Now, weakness though, cardio. I don't like running. I don't like doing all that, but it's something that I do see that it's something I need to improve upon, because it being also another attribute of yourself, it's something you're going to be dealing with on a frequent basis, something that you're going to have to deal with on a daily basis, your own physical health. And so with that being weakness, I feel like something that you can personally identify that you see frequent in your life, but something that could definitely use some improvement. And then lastly, going on to what I find for to be my opportunities and my threats, like how kind of sub that up is in for my opportunities is things that I really want to get to in life, right? So was being a videographer and being somebody who's really into the whole idea of multimedia and content creation and content engagement and stuff of that nature. It's always something for me to look forward to be able to find to how to expand and how to get better in that space, because it's a constantly growing and constantly evolving space. And so where that be, me being able to go out and network with other people in that out in that area, or me being able to get more opportunities, get paid for it. Hey man, everybody loves some money. Everybody loves another financial opportunity. But also one of the things that falls right in hand with money are the people that you interact with and the people that you engage with in there. And so opportunities, I feel like, at least for me personally, whenever it comes to how we kind of select and identify the important points of what makes a good opportunity for you in life, is the people that you can find to open up those doors for you, And then so lastly, the thing was whenever it comes into threats, I would say that one of the major points that I would kind of say summarizes up a good threat for your own characterization through life is what prevents you from getting to the things that you want to get to. What stops you from getting to your opportunities? And what stops you from getting to what you want to do well, and what you're working on, and what you can't do well, things of that nature. So those are some of the summarized points and some of the summarized things that I feel like I kind of gather from my attributes and strengths and weaknesses and the different opportunities and threats I feel like I hope to get to in life.
That's good. But as you were talking, you mentioned networking.
Yes.
And I can tell from your personality, you don't have a problem with getting out there and networking or whatever. But, there are some people that's one of their weaknesses. What advice would you give someone that, they may be, what is it, introvert or shy? They don't want to talk. What advice would you give them about going out there and networking? Because for a lot of things that you want to do, you have to get out there and talk to people.
100%, I agree. Was it like two of the things that I feel like I kind of take on personally, that gives me a great mentality whenever it comes to bettering in anything in life that you feel like you may not be very good at, but was it even outside of just networking, is the fact that anything that's really worthwhile in life isn't going to be easy. And so was it being able to build up the skill of networking? It may be natural for some people, but it may not be natural for others. And for those who it may be natural with, they're going to run into their own challenges and difficulties regardless, Was it being a great orator, being a great talker, although that gives me the ability to capitalize me, gives me the ability to get into spaces that other people may not be able to, it also puts me in an area where it automatically sets me apart for competition, man. Was it whenever it comes into was it the higher level and the higher level of engagement to how you speak and talk with people, they can always very well tell where your crutches and where your weaknesses might be. So that just tells a story from the perspective of somebody who has put in the time to improve and engage and is still working on building up the ability and building up the skill that is networking. But whenever it comes into taking on and building upon that skill from a ground level, from a novice standpoint, it's very, very important to remember that you have to start somewhere, and that it's not going to be an easy journey, but it will be worth it. And one of the things that I feel like I've also gained very well, that I've had in personal understanding, especially for the modern era that we're going through now, is that people are oftentimes a lot more similar to you than you may think. I found out that especially while I was going through COVID, I remember I came back in my first semester while we actually started on-campus school again. And my boss was telling me back whenever he was giving me my first lessons in networking and, recruitment and stuff of that nature, he's like, RJ, everybody out here, they're just now getting back on campus. They are just as isolated as y'all were. All y'all just had the same kind of school semester. I mean, whether, it's adults who were just working from home from this whole time, or whether it's students and other young teenagers or young adults who were just locked in and just playing video games and looking at screens for the last weeks or months of their life, So they have to also take into account that socially put us on a completely different track from where we were before, my graduation experience and any person's graduation experience beyond 2020 has not had many similarities with anyone before. And so I give that as another piece of not only advice, but I guess, encouragement to say for those who may struggle with networking, is that people are much more, your nervousness or your apprehensiveness to want to go and dive out there and meet different people may be way more welcome and way more common than you may think. Many more people are also stressed out and nervous about talking to new people too, because a lot of us are going to be out of practice at it now at this point. Was it COVID-19 and the whole pandemic and the whole era of everything that came out of the year 2020 set us to a whole different social space and how we work mentally. So, you have to put in the work to be able to undo that for yourself. So just know it's a worthwhile journey and that you're not alone in it.
All right. Go out there and put in the work. You heard it here. All right. Hi, Dan and Jocelyn. Thank you all for tuning in. So, RJ, what personal preferences make you, RJ, stand out and not try to fit in? And when I say that, I'm talking about your drip, your hair. What do you do that makes you stand out and be yourself?
Was it so? What I feel like, it's a very complex question. I feel like for someone who also like I love clothes, man. I love clothes and I love fashion, everything of that nature. And it's something I've realized talking with a good few of my friends now, and even childhood friends and stuff like that. That my dad used to always tell me, just like, man, Archie, you care too much about them clothes, man. You care too much about the fashion, the most recent trends and everything like that. And I didn't see it until like I started meeting other people who do care about fashion, care about the way they dress and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, maybe I do have some stuff in similar with these guys. But the thing that I feel like, even for someone who does care a lot about how they look and how they portray themselves, and even to other people who may not care as much about it, was it at least in the clothes department, one of the things that I feel like has helped identify for me, and that is that almost everybody's going to have multiple pieces of different influences, right? So like kind of a book to give for reference here. One of my favorite books that I found was really inspirational for whenever I was creating content a lot was How to Steal Like an Artist. And in that book it specifically says, so one of the greatest artists in the world, the people who we look to for the most inspiration, the people who we look to make the greatest movies of our lives, the people who make the greatest fashion statements and the greatest performances. I know some of y'all saw that Super Bowl stuff, some of the most dazzling stuff that we've seen in our lives. They are not original. None of these guys are original. There has not been original work for whoever knows how long, thousands of years, hundreds of years. So originality should not be the main point here. To me, it is more so found in the comfortability and what you identify with, right? For me, I love the fact that whatever I find to just be interesting, what I find to look cool, I'm gonna wear it. Now, whether that be something super vintage and baggy, like this kind of gives me like a 90, oversized windbreaker kind of feel, or whether it's like a nice tailored suit or something like that of that nature. It's a combination and understanding of the fact that regardless of wherever your influence is, regardless of wherever you find your drip or your identification or your identity from, you're going to have different pieces and influences coming from other sources. And so to me, I found that it's best whenever really trying to embrace an identity, to understand the fact that it's going to be an amalgamation of other things, that you're going to be a collection of different influences. And not only to understand that, but to appreciate that. Because I also feel like it gives you the opportunity to be able to carry on legacies and be able to carry on messages that are beyond yourself, So whenever it comes into, just personal culture and personal identification, because, whenever it comes into drip and stuff like that, for those fellow melanated individuals, I know you can get what it comes to with hair, right? For the longest time, I remember I thought that the thing that would solve all my image problems would be long hair. I just wanted long hair for the longest time. And I finally got it. And then I remember for the longest time I was sitting there, I was like, man, having locks is pretty cool. What was it? For those of y'all who've been watching for a good minute, you can remember whenever I had super long hair, right? But I remember like in my last year about having that hair, I was sitting there thinking, I was just like, dude, you know what? I'm kind of over it. I was just like, it's been a good time. It's been an enjoyable time, but I'm ready for the next part. And I mean, part of it was pushed on and encouraged by the fact that I was going to the military and I did have to cut it, but I was not afraid of jumping off to that deep end at all. I was completely ready to embrace the new fashion choice, to embrace the unknown for me. Because I hadn't seen my scalp in over 4 years at that point. So I was a little nervous about it too, but I was also completely ready to embrace the change that was coming, because I understood the fact that, I took in the different influences that came with my dad. When my dad was into the fact that he's been bald headed for years and he has been getting tons of comments on how his great looks have been going. So the fact that he can move on in the way that he's moving and still appreciate and understand and then grow in his own fashion understanding and personal identity, it shows off as a great showcase to me as well that I can do that too. Was it for my dad as another was a little small example to give it was it for those of you who may be able to better look at his images and everything like that than me, because he definitely posts a lot more than me on that Facebook, Instagram, all kind of good stuff. But was it one of the things that he identifies with a lot is black and white, Mr. Wonderful, something very clean and sleek, just keeps it black and white. And that is direct influence from someone else that he got that fashion advice from. But he does it well, and he sticks right to it, and he knows that that is the vein in which that he does well, and he improves upon it, and he puts his own little personal twists on it, and he makes it his. So I feel like one of the things that really makes it makes it important for standing out is knowing the fact that standing out isn't more so important about being original, but owning what pieces of inspiration you're taking. So that is my advice, I guess, for for those who want to stand out and try not to fit in and find their own lane and drip and whatever you're looking for.
Sounds good. Sounds good. If you just joined us, our topic this evening is who are you? And and we're talking about standing out and fitting in, but the best version of you can be is to be authentic. Walking who you are, not trying to look like or be like anybody else but yourself. So we're having a great conversation about that. So who is your number one go-to when you need some insight or advice to make essential decisions?
Man, I may have spoiled it a little second ago, but was it my go-to right now is my pops is the original, the Ricardo Miller Sr. I go to him personally for a lot of advice, because one of the things that I found that that has helped me out a lot, and that has not only been a piece of advice that my dad has personally given me, but also I'm a big believer in, solidifying your information, solidifying your resources by doing your own personal research, And so whenever I take in the wisdom that I get from my dad or whoever else I find to be mentors, I do my own research to read a book, to find an article, to look at a professional, to hear a TED talk or whatever about the source to further refine my mind on it. But the major reason why I kind of follow the path of which my dad kind of laid for me, and whenever it comes to looking to and seeking advice from him, is because he's walking down a path that I kind of want to go down. He is someone who is doing the speaking realm very well, and has done it very well for numerous years. And then not only that, but he's also someone who advocates and preaches and lives the whole message of holistic and overall beneficial living. And that's something that I personally holistically identify with at the end of the day. It's something that I found out how passionate I am about it over like these last I'd probably say 2 to 3 to 4 years after leaving high school and really building that personal independence. But was my formative years, I would say, in my young adulthood and my time in community college, whenever I was working as a student worker, having the opportunity to really actually mentor and teach other young minds, people of my own age group and everything like that, and even people older than me, is the fact that, I learned that how important holistic life and holistic living was as a whole. And seeing that was not only something that he lived by and something that he moved by was something very important for me, that I found to be engaging for finding advice and finding influence in. But yeah, that's definitely my go-to guy, man. No, popped in was right on time, perfect time for that too.
Yep. He got it right in on time. Yes, and as you say, his holistic teaching, and he's a person that walks in what he preaches. And just for you out there who don't know, every morning at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, 7 Eastern Standard Time, he's on with his morning devotional. And baby, you want to check it out because it is awesome. There's some awesome teaching every morning, Monday through Friday on YouTube. So if you have not checked it out, you need to check that out. So I can see why that's your go-to person.
Yep.
That's great. So, one of the 5 basic principles that we have here on Build Your Best Life, I believe in 5, but that very first one is associations. And to me, it is critical to your well-being, your mindset, and your actions, who you associate associate with or spend most of your time with, that inner circle. So, RJ, how do you manage your inner circle?
Was it, man? I'm trying not to just regurgitate a bunch of advice here, you know. But hey, you know, how like I said, nothing's original, guys. Was it just be mindful about where you're taking your sources and definitely credit them. But was one of the great pieces of advice that I got from my dad, and then you know, also I give my credits to was to my other mentors, Dr. Russ and everything like that from my previous job. But one of the big pieces of advice that they gave me was knowing the time frames for your people, you know. You have some friends and you have some people that you can spend was it an hour, a couple hours with, you know, you can kick it with them, be a great time, you know, be a great night, be a great evening. Y'all go out bowling, y'all go out and shoot some hoops, y'all go out and do whatever, you know, be a great time with those guys. But those are people that you can only really healthily expect that amount of time to spend with them and then still have a good and engaging afternoon or good or engaging time, you know. And then there's people you can spend a few days with, you know, was it people who might have daily routines that align better with yours, you know, people who wake up around the same time, people who have the same different daily aspirations. They go and hit the gym like you do, they go and eat like you do. So, you know, you guys can align to spend more time with each other. There's people you can spend more weeks with, and accordingly, you know, it goes on with months and years and so on and so on. And so whenever it comes into how I personally built my circle is another piece of advice that I kind of gathered in from my elder mentorship was the fact that the 5 closest people to you will then reflect your future, will then reflect your life, you know? And so if you show me your 5 closest people, I can show you your future as well as one piece of advice that I'd hear all the time. And with that being the case, I feel like whenever it comes into managing your inner circle, you have to look at what you want. And then if these people don't have anything that you want, then you have to kind of look at it and wonder, why are you spending time with those people? And I mean, that's not to say it in a purely binary way of everything has to be transactional, has to be, oh, what are you providing to me in life here? But think about it like this. Was it time is our most valuable resource that we have here on this planet, you know? And it is so valuable in the right that whether it's financially valuable, or whether it's emotionally valuable, or whether it mentally valuable for the knowledge you could be gaining, you know, there's tons of different ways that time can be one of the most important and essential resources that we have here in life. And so whenever you're spending time with a person, you are investing that resource into them. And so regardless at the end of your life, whenever you cash out your check, whenever you finally end up punching your ticket at the end of your time, right? Your life is going to be a reflection of where you set those investments. Was it like how I can kind of see my life was it as I've grown older, I feel like I used to hate math as a kid, but as I've grown older, I'm starting to see my life more and more just like a giant like Google Doc. Was it where if you just plug in a number here, you'll just see stuff just end up here. And so one of the great reflections I feel like for that is, you know, if you'll just look over the time that you spent with different people and different individuals at the end of your time, at the very end of your final little punch box, at the very end for your total result, you will see what reflected off of the time that you spent with those individuals. So if you spent all your time with all the 5-hour people, with all the 6-hour people, with all the 3-hour people, was it those people you should really only be spending 5 hours, 3 hours, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes with, you know, was just hang out, catch up a little bit, dap them up and just move on. If you spent all your time with those people, you're going to look back and then you're going to get those same results. And so it was a kind of calling all the way back to that original thing I was saying in the beginning, whenever it comes into, you know, building and investing into that whole skill of networking, how nothing worthwhile is going to be easy, right? Was investing your time in these larger quality of people whenever it comes into, you know, the people you can spend multiple days with, multiple weeks with, multiple months with, whenever it comes into frequency and engagement and stuff of that nature. You'll see those fruits start to bear properly and correctly. You know, was it for me, like one of the last little points I'll give off to end off this whole going on note for it is that one of the things that I found is that as I see myself pull away from my elder circle, from my mentors, I've seen that my personal decisions, they begin to falter. It's because it's not only because, you know, I'm not seeing these people, I'm not asking them daily for their advice, but it's also a matter of I'm not observing, I'm not taking their actions. I'm going to give one little last story. I know I said I was going to end it with this last one, but this is a good one. I promise it'll be worth it. So this last time I remember I'd gone out to go and have dinner with my dad and mom, Karen, right? So we'd gone out and it was going to be a great evening. And I remember whenever I'd gone out to eat with these guys, I didn't realize, how much I was living the true college student life of my diet, right? I hadn't had what you would consider, good pasta, whatever, or good food in a while. That was not something I had new to my knowledge yet until I had gone and sat down to have dinner with them, right? So we're just was going to have a great time to eat at one of their casual restaurants for the week and everything like that, right? And it was this nice Italian spot out in Dallas, I think. And while we were just sitting down eating, was eating with them, I was taking in and just kind of realizing information while I was out there with them. The fact that, was it sitting in this current space? Was it because I used to work as a busser at a restaurant before, and while I was sitting in that current space, I was just like, man, bro, I see and I understand, I appreciate so much more effort and work from all the different people moving around this space now than I ever did before. And I'm also seeing opportunities from that now as well. I'm just like, dude, I was like, if I had a consistent car that I can make it out here with, I was like, this could be a good job networking opportunity. And I was just like, that was just from one single evening that I had out with my parents, right? Was it one single instance that I had out with these people that they didn't even intentionally sow that seed into me, looking for opportunity, looking for engagement, looking for growth. But just being around people of that nature, being around people that walk that path, and where their mentality is of fruitfulness, of bountifulness, of opportunity, you are bound to just take that in. Their cups are overflowing, so you're bound to also gain some of that knowledge, gain some of that wisdom, gain some of that blessing, right? So ending off on that one, but those are some of the great things and great points that I feel like can kind of guide you in where you want to put your time and where you want to engage to build your healthy inner circle.
That's good. That residue from them, they're positive, they're good people that can only rub off on you. So it was great. And thank you for sharing that one with us. That was a great example. Love it. So as we kind of get to the end here, can you give our audience some tips on how knowing who you are, who RJ is, has helped you make decisions and make your actions to build your best life? Because, you started out telling us where you've come from in the last several months, and we can see the growth and the difference. You are RJ. You're not somebody else. Yep. So give us those tips.
So some of the tips that I feel like first one that I feel like would be a great thing to point on to be able to help build and help identify for yourself is writing down your goals. It's a huge one. It's such a major key point for, even if you're not going to write down your major goals for the year and it may seem too daunting, too hard, just write down your to-do list for the day. Because I guarantee you, whenever you write down these things and you write down your previous goals and things that you want to tangibly get done, things that you get done on a daily basis are what? Attributes. Things that you frequent, things that you do frequently, things that you do on a daily basis are your attributes. Things that I was saying we're calling back to before. And your attributes are what build up and what create you, right? So whenever you write down your goals and you get to look back at those lists that you checked off on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, on a month-to-month basis, you are literally looking at all the different, for those of y'all who may understand a few little gaming lingo or a little bit of online lingo for it, right? These are literally you seeing your points go up. These are literally you seeing your attributes rise, right? Was it for all the times that you had properly on time checked off to make sure that you went into work, that you went in and you got your dry cleaning done, the fact that you got your bed made, you got your laundry done, you got all your basic things done, and all your more complex and personalized tasks and things for the evening or things for your week or things for your month done. You'll start to see. And you'll start to have a list, and you'll start to have a database of information that you can recall upon that can point you to what you've done and what you can accomplish, right? And so once you see and once you've identified what you can accomplish, it can also point and identify you to what you can accomplish in the future. What opportunities lie ahead of you, right? And so after I write down my goals and after I've identified what I have done before, I would like to then identify what I want to go and do next. So one of the things that I feel like also has helped me out to personally build up my vision and personally build up my day-to-day is building a mood board or building a vision board for something that gives me a visual representation of what I want to get done within the year. So last year I made up a mood board for all the things I wanted to see done in my 2024 year. I wanted to see my spiritual relationships improve. I wanted to see my personal relationships improve. I wanted to see my finances grow and all things of that nature, right? And so I've made I'm already in progress for making my different mood board for this year. planning to do a different one for the different months was it coming up on now, actually, because man, 2025 has been a trip already. So was it things feel like they can change so rapidly, but building a mood board gives, I feel like, for those of you who may be more visual learners. For me and my nature, I definitely lean more heavily into things that I can visualize more than I can just tangibly hear or just read. It helps you also helps you make things more tangible to what you can actually reach out and grasp to get done and what you want to achieve, right? And so lastly, one of the last points that I want to see was that I believe would be really beneficial for those that want to help build their personal identity and what they want to see for their best life is to also build up is to find someone else to keep you accountable for it, right? So after you've built out your goals and after you built out your vision board, share this dream, share these dreams and goals and ambitions with someone else, so that not only you keep your own personal identity to know within yourself, but then once you start showing this out to the world as well, it will just only then come back to reflect you, especially whenever you're reflecting to the right people, to your correct inner circle. So share those dreams, goals, and ambitions to those people who can positively feedback and positively reflect those things back to you. Give that energy back to perpetuate and see those things grow and flourish. So those are three major things that I feel like could be really, really beneficial if you want to see, your 2025 for what we have gone on to a super exciting, super, super crazy year so far, to be able to dominate and still do so much more with the great rest of the year that we have left going into I think about the end of Q1 now soon, with March being, well, not around the corner, but February feels like it's going by fast. But yeah.
It is. Well, thank you for those tips. Write down your goals, build a mood board, and share your dreams, goals, and ambitions. Because if you just keep it to yourself, then nobody knows what type of progress you're making. But if you put it out there, then people say, hey, how's it going with this, that, and the other? And then that'll kind of maybe make you, if you've been slacking off, make you get back in gear, get it done.
Lock in.
Good. Yeah. So thank you for sharing with us. This has been a great talk. Who are you? As you want to strive, you should have your own dreams, your own purpose, your blueprint for success. So if you're trying to be like somebody else, you're not building your blueprint, your mood board. Like RJ saying, he got his own mood board, what he's looking forward to. And that's what each person should do. Be your own authentic self. And then you don't have to worry about who you are today. Now what if who am I today? Am I imitating my dog, John, or is it Brian I'm acting like today? Who is it? No, be yourself.
Yep.
Yes. So before we leave, do you have any closing thought anything that you thought of that you want to leave with everyone?
Any closing thoughts that we have out for this evening is just generally I would like for people to be more mindful in where they're moving and how they place their energy and what they do in their day-to-day. One of the things that I found that personally helps me out a lot throughout my weeks is touching base with the people who I find important in your inner circle. Whenever it comes into that point that I was talking about with the 5 people who you surround yourself with, it shows you your future. It doesn't only mean physically, it also means who you engage with as well. So whether it be a phone call a week or whether it be frequent text conversations or a FaceTime video or something like that, reach out and interact and make those connections and make those bonds with the people who you want to see you grow. May not grow more alike with, but see whose goals you further align with, because as soon as you start making those associations different, you'll start to see your own self adjust and move a bit more differently. So take that first small step and engaging with the right people and making those right phone calls and shooting those right texts. So that's my last little piece of advice for the evening for those out there. You're going to reach out to a good person around you.
Thank you so much. And thank everyone for tuning in this evening. Make sure that you tune in Thursday for Let's Talk About It. We're going to have Carol Crockett is going to be our guest, and our topic is going to be thank you. Thank you. So make sure that you tune in at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 Central Time this Thursday. All right. And if you joined us late, please make sure that you go back and look at this video in its entirety, either on Facebook or YouTube. It will be well worth your time. You will get some great nuggets. Please share them, especially if you know some young men, teenage young adults. This would be some great information for them to put in their toolbox. So please make sure that you share. And again, thank you so much, RJ, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be on here with us today.
No problem at all. It's always a pleasure.
All right. So everyone, stay warm, take care. Remember that building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan, it's our commitment. I love you. Be safe, take care, and I hope to see some of you on Thursday. Do well, RJ.
Will do. Thank you.